Hey everybody, how's it going? Hope you're having a lovely day. Before I get into the topic of today's video, I would like to go over a meme, but in order to review that meme, I have to show you what it's based on. So this is a propaganda page from Rev Up America. They're an organization that tries their best to convince Congress that if independent mechanics can fix your car, or you can fix your own car and you get access to that you're going to get hacked by North Korea and China and Iran, and it's all funny. If you Google them, you'll find pages like this. Modern cars carry sensitive data about you, your family, and your location. The Repair Act would hand that information to insurers and third parties, exposing it to misuse, hackers, and even foreign adversaries. Now, this meme has been upvoted more than anything I've posted to my community page in 13 years on YouTube. So you say right to repair would allow Chinese hackers access to my data. The data you're collecting, says the skeptical goose. Why the fuck were you collecting my data in the first place, motherfuckers? And then he's chasing the Rev Up America man down the hill, and point taken. The reason that this has gotten, I'm not going to say the number of upvotes for reasons, but the reason that this is resonating so much with people is because it's true. The best way to protect against your personal data being sold or being hacked is to not give it to anybody in the first place. Instead of thinking about whether or not you trust me or whether you think I'm competent, whether you trust me or I'm competent doesn't matter if I'm providing you a service without asking for your data. Your data is safe if you don't give it to anybody. And I want to focus on that principle when I talk about the issue I'm going over today. So a few years ago, I did a video on the channel titled No Escape. Every U.S. carrier sold your location data with 0.4% penalties from the FCC. My math may be a little bit off there, and you can check it. This is on the AT&T carrier. This is the one that I found the most interesting. This is exactly what happened when news reports revealed that the largest wireless carriers in the country were selling our real-time location information to data aggregators, allowing this highly sensitive data to wind up in the hands of bail bond companies, bounty hunters, and other shady actors. Your location data and information from your phone, if you were using AT&T, was going everywhere. And if you take a look at the fine that they got, it was about $57 million. This fine, when you take a look at their net profit, it comes out to approximately 0.4 to 0.6% of their yearly income. So AT&T made $20 billion. Next year, they made -8. Next year, they made 14. It averages out to about $7 to $8 billion a year. Now, if you make $7 to $8 billion a year, and then you get fined $57 million, that's about 0.5%. That's not even a slap on the wrist. You don't even, that's a raindrop on the wrist. You're not even going to feel it. But it gets even better. Brenton Carr dissented on this. He did not think that this fine was appropriate, and the Fifth Circuit Court actually invalidated it altogether. So let's go through this. AT&T breaks the law in their privacy policy, gives your data to bounty hunters, bail bondsmen, advertisers, gets fined 0.5% of their net income, and then finds out that they don't even have to pay it. Here's something about breaking the law. There are people that will break the law because they're greedy, but they're going to break the law with a tempered greed because they don't know what's going to happen if they get caught. Because they don't know what happens if they get caught, they might just do a little bit. But once you get caught and you realize that there is no punishment whatsoever, you're going to be way more brazen about it because now you know, before I was going to be cautious because I didn't know what happened. Now I know that there's no consequence. I'm going to do as much of it as I humanly want. There are a lot of people that are looking at this that are lacking trust in the system, the telecom system, the way it is regulated, and privacy advocates in general are just, there's a trust problem between the major carriers in the United States right now. I'll leave it at that. But one of the ways that you could solve this is if you had a way of dealing with a cellular carrier where you just didn't have to give them any of your information and you can get a phone. And brings us to the topic of today's video. The reason I have not marked this as a paid sponsorship, I am a board member of this company, but I'm an unpaid board member, so I don't get paid shit for this, but it is something that I think is a good solution. So this is a company that we started. Now, we don't have hundreds of billions of dollars to rebuild the infrastructure of AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, or T-Mobile. What we're doing here is an MVNO. And for those of you who hate acronyms as much as I do, that's a mobile virtual network operator. So for instance, if you go to a Simple Mobile store, a Mint Mobile store, US Cellular, they don't have their own towers. They're using towers from one of the large providers. And we are doing something similar to here, except the difference is that we will allow you to create an account without collecting or selling your personal data. Because again, if I don't collect your personal data, I have literally nothing to sell. And if one of the large carriers were to ask us, hey, can you give us some information on that customer so we know where they went? I have no answer because I don't know who you are. Watch how this works. If you go get plan, you can enter your address or you can just enter a zip code. Let's put the zip code of my old store in New York. And you hit continue. You can select the plan. Let's see if you notice something here. Besides the fact that Spectrum Internet is horrible. Choose an eSIM. It asks for my email, but I don't have to give it. I hit continue. It'll ask for a username and password. It asks for an address for 911, but you don't have to give that if you don't want to. And when it finally asks for payment information at the end, You can pay in crypto. You can get a full 5G data plan and a functioning phone number without providing your name, your address, your email, your phone number, or anything about you. This follows a fundamental principle in this channel. I don't believe in trust me, bro. I've talked about this in the past, and I'll talk about it now. I never want to suggest something in any way, shape, or form where you have to trust me as like the good guy against the other people. I would rather come up with something where you don't have to trust me. This follows that principle. The thing that I think would be great to this entire data collection and data selling infrastructure is invalidating it and making it worthless. Now, let's say you have zero trust whatsoever. If I don't know who you are, if I have no relationship with you, then I cannot sell your personal data. If I have horrible security practices, but I don't collect your personal data, if I get hacked, there's no data to give away. If I become greedy one day and decide that I want to buy a shirt that wasn't from H&M, I want to get some from Neiman Marcus or something, I can't sell your data because I don't have it. And that is a beautiful thing. And I like business models like that don't rely on trust, but rather where the system is fundamentally set up where you don't have to trust at all. We want to have the same relationship with our customers that my mother wants to have with me. Doesn't know where I am, doesn't want to talk to me. In all seriousness, you should have the relationship with your cellular provider that you have with your family after Thanksgiving dinner when they have the wrong news channel on. You don't have one at all. I think that's beautiful and I want to see more of it. Now, I've seen comments about this so far saying this is going to enable criminals. It's just going to be good for criminals and everything else. And one of the things that bothers me about that is we always tend to focus on the criminal out there instead of focusing on the criminal that's next to us, that's right in front of us. When I talk about what AT&T did, when I talk about giving people's data against privacy policies and the law to bounty hunters and bail bondsmen, it's like, why are we focusing on the theoretical criminal that may want to use a phone service like this that might just go and buy a prepaid phone anyway, because that is a thing, rather than focusing on the actual harms being done to people by actual, in my opinion, just my opinion, criminals. Admittedly, also the opinion of Chairwoman Jessica Rosenworcel at the FCC, given how she described these actions. If you want to talk about scammers, I don't even have my text messages or my phone calls turned on to notify me because every single call I get is a robocall or a scam. And this is an issue long before this carrier ever even came out. There's a right to repair hearing that I recorded back in March of 2020. And at the beginning of the hearing, they were not talking about right to repair. They were actually talking about a different bill in the docket, which had to do with robocalls, because even 5.5 years ago, robocalls ran rampant at the same time that your Fourth Amendment rights were being violated.
That'll help our state address the plague that is known as robocalls. For the record, I am Delegate Emily Shetty, here to ask for a favorable report on this bill. Robocalls are the bane of most of our existence. Not only are they a nuisance, but they are dangerous and predatory and disproportionate.
You were getting robocalls long before this came out. You were getting spam text messages long before this came out. At the very least, in my opinion, you should have Fourth Amendment rights. If you are a normal law-abiding citizen that wants to pay $20 to $90 a month for your phone service, you should be able to do so without being tracked everywhere that you go, and you should do that without fear that your data will be sold. There is a very clear trust problem between customers that care about privacy and the carriers. And one of the ways that I think that would be good to try and fix this is if you had the ability to get phone service without having to give away any of your personal data. Because if I don't have your personal data, then there is nothing for me to sell. If I don't have your personal data, there's nothing for me to insecurely store and have to deal with getting hacked. Now, you can pay with a credit card for this service, and there is a white paper that I will link down below that goes over the entirety of how this encryption system works. Even if you pay with a credit card and provide a billing address, a lot of work has been done so that you can have your payment information stored, while simultaneously, I literally have no way, if anybody even came knocking, to say who you are. But even this, if you don't want to trust this, pay with crypto. One of the things I really appreciate about this channel and the audience that I've had over the years is that you've all put me in a position where I'm able to do things that I wouldn't have before. When I meet somebody like Thomas Quito at Mobility Independence Foundation, I know somebody that can actually help fund his nonprofit so he can create fixable wheelchairs. When I talk about the problems with Google's voice to text or speech to text collecting all my stuff and not telling me that it's saving it for 10 or 15 years, I actually know people that can hire developers to make great software. And when I talk about and complain about the major wireless carriers and what they've gotten in trouble for or not had to pay a fine for, I can actually work on starting a phone company that does not collect your personal data while providing you with service that, in my opinion, is just as good. I have a lot of appreciation for all of you for allowing me to be in a position that I am. And I hope to continue working on this stuff and these problems long into the future. That's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something. I'll see you in the next video. Bye now. And remember, the only people that you can trust with your personal data are the people that you didn't give it to.